All right, looks like we're live. I'm here with my frequent sidekick, Artistic Layman.
Hello, everyone.
And let me just make sure it's going out okay on the old YouTubes here. Come on, start already. There it is. Okay. All right, so a couple of things I want to talk about. Luke, first, could you throw up the picture of Nazi Supergirl for me? It's on my Gab in the Facebook page. I just a nice thing for the background while we're talking. Um, I just saw this on a comic site. If you don't watch Flash and Arrow like I do, I don't watch Supergirl because it's a bit too paused. I wanted to like it, but it's a bit too paused. But it crosses over with the Flash and Arrow stuff a lot because there's a lot of multiverse stuff going on in those shows. Even though Supergirl's in a different universe, but it's still crossed over with Flash. Well, there's some universe called Earth X where like everything's run by Nazis, and there's versions of Supergirl, Flash, and Arrow on that world, and they're, I guess, going to attack other worlds or something. And that's Nazi Supergirl right there. And Nazi Supergirl is best waifu. That's just delightful. uh, I'm looking forward to that. At least once a year they do a big crossover between the shows, so I think it's going to happen. It's probably going to happen right after break, like the Christmas break that shows take. I'm guessing it's sometime after that, kind of the mid-season thing. But yeah, Nazi Supergirl is just delightful. So earlier today, I got kind of a glimpse of how far right Gen Z is going to be, like out in the wild, as it were. I went out to this mall, not too far from me. It has a big Bass Pro Shop in it, and a Second and Charles, which is like a used bookstore, but also used games and like comic books and stuff like that. And I love the Bass Pro Shop. There's this really huge, like giant fish tank that kind of looks like it's sort of designed to look like a deep lake kind of thing. It's really awesome. And so I'm in Second Charles, and I see this book. Edward Klein, I think, was the author's name. It was called The Amateur, and I decided I was going to get it for my dad for Christmas because I knew he'd been meaning to read that book. He had mentioned it once before, but he never got around to it. And it's ripping into Barack Obama. It's talking about how Barack Obama butt fucked the country, and I think it was like from 2012. So I picked the book up, and I'm in line to check out, and there's this girl at the register, and she seems pretty young, and she hardly looks straight laced and conservative. Let me put it that way. She looks a little kind of alternative culture. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not like a freak, but like I said, she hardly looks straight laced and conservative socially. You know what I mean? Just your typical young girl, I guess. And I probably say she's out of high school, but in her 20s, I guess. She mentions, because it was raining like a bitch out here all day. I mean, just pouring. And she was talking about how she didn't want to look forward to walking home in it. So she probably doesn't have a car. She's working at a bookstore. Typical, young kid. You don't know what to do with your life. And so you would think this would be kind of a typical shit lib. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's the old saying? If you're not a liberal when you're under 30, you have no heart, kind of thing. But we're all a little bit more left wing in our leanings when we're younger. Reality then kind of mugs you and robs you of those assertions. So I go up with the book, and as soon as she saw like the title and all, she starts like laughing, and I forget some of the things she said, and she like she went on the back to look at like the price tag or something, and then the first blurb, and again this book came out in 2012. The first blurb on the back is from Donald Trump. And I mean, she's basically like, she didn't she didn't cuss. I forget exactly how she put it, but she was like, yeah, fuck Barack Obama, yay Trump, and she's like, go on, give me fist bump, right? And I mean, this is the last person you expect to say this. You know what I mean? Like, she's just like if there's another copy of that book in the store, she would have bought it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, screw Barack Obama. Trump's awesome. So it's kind of a little tale of how, I suspect a lot of people are going to be shocked at how far right this Gen Z is. I remember I was arguing on the Breakpoint website with the moderator on there, and I made the most milquetoast. It was something bitching about the alt-right, and I made milquetoast assertions, basically saying things like, every race has the right to take pride in their race. While I'm not a white nationalist myself, I don't think there's anything inherently evil about the idea of ethno-nationalism. And I also asked her several times, do you support the state of Israel? And if so, why do you support one ethno-nationalist state, not another? And then she's trying to bog me down with when she's actually arguing with me, she's trying to bog me down with specifics. Well, how would your ethno state be? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like, I'm not advocating it. I'm just saying it's not evil to advocate it. But of course, accusing me of being a Nazi and evil and racist and wanting to ban me, and and I actually quoted the rules back for like commenting, where it said anything, any position can be commented from as long as you're not insulting. Don't tell me about the rules. I wrote the rules. Well, apparently you don't follow your own fucking rules. I don't know what. But anyways, I finally just exited out of it. I'm like, look, I'm gonna exit out of this. You have the last word if you want. I'm not gonna look at it. But I'll tell you this much: if you think my milquetoast positions are shocking, you have no idea what's coming. You have no idea what the kids about 10 years younger than me, 15 years younger than me are thinking right now. You have no idea. And you're going to be begging for my reasonable position very shortly. My controversial position that different groups of people are different. And and I said at one point, I was like, for most of human we have this weird thing, this propositional nation, supposedly right now. I don't know how historically accurate that is, but supposedly, we'll see how that experiment pans out. But for most of human history, nations have been defined as blood and soil. She's like, you're using a Nazi phrase. I'm like, I'm pretty sure a lot of other people other than the Nazis use that phrase. That was just a commonly understood phrase. I'm sure the Nazis also said 2 and 2 equal 4.
You know what else is also a Nazi image nowadays?
What's that?
This.
Hang on. Oh, yeah, exactly.
No, did you see that video with the woman going into the gun store?
I did not.
Well, I didn't know it was a woman until someone explained it to you, but this very masculine-looking, handsome-looking woman went in and asked the man if he would be happy to sell guns to the K word for Jews. He said, I don't even know what a K is. What is that? Do you have a problem with Jews? Oh, no, I love Jews, she says. And then she gets confused because I don't understand why would you ask me that? It says because you have a Nazi flag, but I don't have that's not a Nazi flag.
Oh, jeez.
And it gets better. She notices that there's a stack of Bibles in the bookstore and the gun store, and the guy says, "Oh yeah, they're free for anyone. Can I have them?" And sure, she takes them all and starts throwing them on the roof of the gun store.
Anonymous conservative is right. Liberals have broken amygdalas, okay? Because you are literally fucking with a man to be incredibly heavily armed. Truly, the left exists because the right allows them to. I mean, there's no other way to put this. I mean, it's the idea, like whatever leftists are talking shit about a civil war and stuff like that. It's like come on. The flea might as well declare civil war against the dog. You know, because A, the flea can't exist without the dog. B, the flea has no ability to destroy the dog. Okay. You know, leftists exist because we suffer you to live, leftists. That's why you exist. All right.
What do you think the mentality was behind this flag?
Humanity, civility, democracy, reason. I'm not sure what we're going for then. Yeah, that's gay. I actually I have a patch of that image, not with the words on the foot, but under it, the snake is saying, I specifically requested the opposite of this. I love the alternate like patches for the like I have a no step on snake one or no step on snick that goes on my one hat. I want to find a patch that has like the snake with the ball gag in his mouth and like it's like a leather high heel boot on him and it's like, oh please thread on me.
Let's see, something like this. We need a
Yeah,
boot.
but there's one with like a high heel leather boot on him. But yes, oh please tread on me. I love the alternate stake flags.
Oh, here's one.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I want to find that. That's hilarious. I saw one with like a crudely drawn like frog, and it said "Government get out."
Here's another. Here's a different one.
Tread gently on me; it tickles.
Or a lighter one.
That's one of the best memes. I like how the snake is tied up in himself. Oh, that's funny stuff. Good old classic stuff.
And for the animus out there.
No, Animu. Hang on. Oh yeah, I seen that one too. Anti-Dem in the comments says, Bechtloff, you haven't talked about this yesterday, but what are your reactions to Axel, I'm sorry, Alonso, getting my mild dyslexia kicked in there. Axel Alonso getting fired at Marvel. I don't know. Look, I'm obviously not happy with where Marvel has gone the last few years. I'm going to say since 2012 is probably when Marvel just really became unreadable. Avengers versus X-Men back in 2012 was the last decent event. Don't get me wrong, there were the beginnings of it before. I would say probably the real rot kicked in with One More Day. But after about 2012 is when it just became horrifically bad. 2013, 2014, 2015, those were all terrible, terrible years. Right after Avengers versus X-Men is when Miss Marvel went to Captain Marvel and got the lesbian haircut. So that's kind of a good indicator of where things were headed right there. And I think shortly after that, we introduced the Durka Miss Marvel. You know, I've often said that there's no comic book character that can't be written well, that can't be made interesting. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I wouldn't want to write Durka Miss Marvel. The only thing, yeah, that's there it is with the lesbian haircut. And Carol Danvers used to be one of my favorite characters at Marvel. It's a shame. But the only thing I could do with Durka Miss Marvel is make her secretly an ISIS fucking sleeper cell. Like she didn't even know this whole time. The programming was that deep, and then she just goes ape shit and tries to kill the rest of the Avengers.
What? No Hail Hydra?
No, I'm going ISIS. But have it be like some form of like not ISIS, but some form of Muslim thing. But they're totally embrace like mutants and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like they're all about superpower people. They want to make them do God Allah's will or whatever. Because I mean, Islam really is not like it's not an inherently racist ideology. It kind of is. There's some inherently racist shit in the Quran, but there's everything in the Quran. The Quran makes no fucking sense. There's no coherency to it. But traditionally, Islam has been almost kind of colorblind. It's been, everybody's going to be Muslim kind of shit. But there is actual real racist shit against black people in the which is funny that like so many of these militant blacks consider Christianity quote unquote the white man's religion when Christianity is what fucking ended the slave trade kind of thing. Whereas I mean there's vehemently anti-black shit in the Quran.
Oh, do you know that Muhammad is technically white? In fact,
Yes.
he's so white that he sentences anyone who calls him black to death.
Yeah, there's but most Islamic thinkers consider Islam kind of colorblind. Again, I mean, the Quran's such a pile of fucking of contradictory nonsense. You can basically make it say whatever you want. There are plenty of passages in the Quran that sound really peaceful and let's all get along and be nice to each other. But then there's also the let's cut everyone's fucking throat and rape their throat holes. I mean, I'm pretty sure the guy who wrote it had syphilis. Carol Danvers, Miss Marvel, was one of my favorite characters. And one of the things I really found interesting about her was she was kind of a fuck up. But it was in a very endearing way. Like, when she originally came out in the 70s as Miss Marvel, her book was obnoxious feminist horseshit. It was that classic 70s you go girl shit. It was so obnoxious. Issue 1 of her series from the 70s has people like, oh my God, a girl's a superhero? When there's been fucking girl superheroes in both Marvel and DC since the 40s. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, it is canonical as part of the Marvel universe that there have literally been female superheroes since World War II.
Kind of like how people forget that there are black characters in Star Trek.
Yeah, so, I mean, the book, the 70s series is trash. But what ended up happening to the character was the reason Rogue from the X-Men can fly and is super strong, I mean, think about it, that's not really her power, is it? Her power is that energy vampire shit. Well, the reason in the comics, you always see her able to fly and she's super strong is because she permanently absorbed those powers from Miss Marvel. Now, in order for Rogue to permanently absorb a power where it never goes away, she has to latch onto him for a good amount of time, nearly enough time to be lethal. And she actually put Carol Danvers in a coma and really fucked her up emotionally for a long time. Because, I mean, she's, Rogue's basically fucking raping your mind and soul when she does this shit, She takes memories and sometimes she takes on personality traits and shit like that. There was actually a time when Rogue suffered some trauma and slipped into a Carol Danvers personality for a while as a coping mechanism. But it left real psychological scars on Carol Danvers. And for a while, she actually became an alcoholic. In fact, at one point, her powers had gone in flux and she had gone by the name Binary. And she could basically turn into almost an energy creature, right? She kind of ended up losing those powers because basically she got she kept getting so constantly shit-faced that it actually caused damage to her physiology and she lost those powers that she had gained. And she didn't want to tell the fellow Avengers at that point because she felt like a jackass. Yeah, that's what she looked like in the Binary outfit, or when her powers would manifest and all. So yeah, she didn't want to tell the other Avengers, and she was constantly getting fucking drunk and shit like that and being all erratic. And they actually threw her off the team, right? So she's sitting and the Avengers go off to the moon to do Avengers stuff, right? Because in the Marvel universe, there's this section of the moon. It's like this ancient alien shit. It's like this little hidden section on the dark side of the moon that has a breathable atmosphere. And yeah, that's when she was, I guess, court-martialed by the Avengers, for lack of a better term. It has a breathable atmosphere and standard Earth gravity. It was something that a bunch of aliens, I think it was the Kree, left behind a couple 100 years ago or something. It's just basically some space station up there kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like all this tech just maintains the atmosphere in that little section. There's like force fields holding it in place. I don't fucking know off the top of my head how it works. Just techno babble bullshit is how it works. That's how it works. The point is, the Avengers had to go up to the moon over at the blue area, and they were, I don't know, like this alien race, the Created, showed up. They were doing some dickish shit. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's not important. But the point is, like, Carol Danvers wanted to go because it was right after this, and they're like, no, you threw you off the team. You're fucking drunk. You need to get your shit together. And so she's sitting in a bar all feeling sorry for herself, right? And then she's like, you know what? I'll show them assholes. I'm going to go fly up to the moon and help them, even though they didn't want my help, right? Well, that didn't go well because the moon's actually far away. And having lost her binary powers, she actually can't exist in a vacuum. Like she just assumed she could. She's like, fuck it, I'll just fly up to the moon. It's right there. I see it. How far can it be? So she tries to fly up to the moon. She doesn't even get completely out of the fucking atmosphere before she passes out and crashes. And that is why I love Ms. Marvel. Like, now that's obviously one of the lower points for the character, but there was, in a very lovable and human way, she was a fuck up. You know what I mean?
That's a good character.
Not a constant fuck up. She did a lot of great things, but there was just something very human about the ways in which she fucked things up. You know what I mean? Very relatable. And ever since the transition to Captain Marvel and the lesbian haircut and shit, that is completely not how they write this character anymore. It is all girl powery shit. It is all, this character can do no wrong. It's horrible. There was a Miss Marvel series starting in about 05 or 06, and it was absolutely fantastic. It was one of my favorite books at the time. Again, like issue 1, I think Carol Danvers actually hires a publicist to try and be a more respected superhero. And also, like, she's heading towards some area where this alien species, the Brood, were attacking, and the Brood are basically like Marvel's version of xenomorphs from Aliens. So she's gonna go, like, go stop some Brood from attacking some small town, and she's flying right, and like her cell phone goes off, and she's trying to like answer a call, and it's like she had hooked up with Johnny Storm from Fantastic Four a while back, and he's calling her, like probably drunk dialing her or some shit. And then she, of course, because she's trying to talk on her phone while she's flying through the air at probably about Mach 1. So of course she drops her fucking phone. And then she's like, I have no idea where that is. I gotta go fight these bad guys. I can't be looking for my fucking phone. But it's just little shit like that. That's really good writing, and that's just absent from what the character is now. What the hell is somebody sending me something? I don't. Davis just sent me something. I don't know what that is. I can't talk about that, Davis. I'm really not sure. I don't even want to talk about. I don't even want to put that up there. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Point is, though, I got on a sidetrack. As for how I feel about, the Alonzo getting thrown out of there, it's good, but I don't know jack shit about this new guy. So, it could very well be new boss, same as the old boss. So I don't know. As I said, there's nothing at Marvel right now I'm really reading. I read Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, which doesn't even take place in the regular Marvel universe. It's like a parallel universe where Spider-Man's still married to Mary Jane and they have kids, and it's almost like Spider-Man meets the Incredibles. And I read Scarlet Spider. It's decent. That's all I read at Marvel. that Marvel's bad right now. It's just bad.
This is the guy replacing him.
Yeah, I really don't know anything about. Oh, the fat guy, or
Yeah, the fat guy.
okay, yeah, I don't really know anything about him, so I couldn't tell you. I mean, it could be a massive step up, could be a massive step down. I really do get the feeling though that Disney is eventually going to start cracking down on this shit. Because I mean, look, Disney did not buy Marvel Comics to sell comics. Disney bought Marvel Comics to sell action figures and movies and cartoon shows and T-shirts and to build rides at their theme parks, stuff like that. That's where the money is. The problem, though, is that if the brand continues to poison itself at the root level, which is the comics, eventually, no one's going to want to wear those T-shirts. No one's going to want to buy those action figures. No one's going to want to watch those movies, and no one's going to ride those rides. And somebody at Disney has to understand this. And what's more, I'm sure somebody at Disney, yeah, there's all the fucking shit characters. Keep that image up. We'll go through this here in a second. But somebody at Disney, A, has to understand that. And B, has to be like, look, we don't expect the publishing wing of Marvel Comics to be making us shit tons of money, but you should at least be in the black. You know, these IPs have never been more popular than before. You should at least be making a couple of bucks here. All right, so let's go through this shit fest here. Okay, so A, we have fucking on the corner here. Bring that picture back up with all the guys.
Gotcha.
I want to go through this because I don't even know some of these fucking characters, by the way. It's how much I'm not reading the books anymore. Okay, so here we go. So we got Gwenpool here on the side, this chick in pink, which is an alternate reality version of Gwen Stacy where she's Deadpool for some reason. I've actually heard that it's kind of a funny book, but whatever. It doesn't need to fucking be. We have Squirrel Girl, who's actually kind of an interesting character. Although, as we've often pointed out, she's fucking drawn like she has Down syndrome. She looks good in this. Above her, we have America, who I think is like a Captain America from the future, who's some Hispanic Latino lesbian or something, and she traveled back in time. I don't know. Everything about what I just said sounds fucking awful. Like, I think I almost got AIDS saying that sentence. Above her, we have the Unstoppable Wasp. I don't know who the fuck that is. I don't know her name. I just, I've heard from not just people on YouTube. I've heard from friends who have picked up Unstoppable Wasp #1 that it's fucking cancer. It's not Janet Van Dyne, or it's nobody related to Hank Pym or nothing. It's just, I don't know. It's some bullshit. And then here in the fucking armor, we got Riri Williams, I'm assuming, whose only superpower is being able to fit that fucking fro in an Iron Man helmet. And she's the smartest person ever. Fuck you. Down below her, we have the female Hawkeye. She actually came from a book called Young Avengers back in the mid-2000s, which wasn't a bad book. She's basically some spoiled rich girl who decided to be a superhero and just somehow could. I don't know.
That's the backstory of all these characters, actually.
Yeah, kind of. We got Durka and Miss Marvel, which is self-explanatory. And then we got the Hulk there, but not really the Hulk. That is Artemis Cho, the totally awesome Hulk. Now, this is a keen example of where I should like it, and I don't. Artemis Cho is a character that was introduced in the Hulk books in the mid-2000s. He's an interesting character. He's this little Asian kid who... he was on the run from the government because he was like a hacker or some shit. And he was something like the 10th smartest person in the Marvel Universe. Now, when you consider that the Marvel Universe has Bruce Banner and Tony Stark and Reed Richards in it and Victor Von Doom and whatnot, being the 10th smartest person in the Marvel Universe, or maybe it was the 12th, I don't remember. But that probably makes you smarter than anyone in the real world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was an interesting enough character. He's on the run from the government. There's like a scene where he's on the run in the desert, and he finds like an abandoned wolf puppy, like a coyote puppy that the mother had died or something, and it ends up being like his pet. And he's keeping it in his coat and all. It was an interesting character. So maybe a year or two ago, I guess it was, after one of the big Marvel events, we launched the Totally Awesome Hulk book, and for some reason, Bruce Banner, the real Hulk, he's gone. No one knows what happened to him, and for some reason, Artemis Cho has Hulk powers now, right? Now, in and of itself, that should be kind of interesting. A, it's written really poorly. B, it was right at a time where all I could see was, oh, you're replacing another white guy with an Asian, with a non-white, which is kind of a shame because if it had happened at a different time in a different climate, I might have been like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what's going on here. Interesting change of pace kind of thing. The other problem with a lot of these replacement characters is they keep them on way too long. These are supposed to be interesting changes of pace, and then we bring back the real hero, and maybe the other guy gets like his own kind of MO, like the replacement Iron Man became War Machine, that sort of thing. So we got Black Spider-Man above the Hulk there. That's the half Hispanic, half black character Miles Morales. This character was made because actor Danny Glover had a shit fit that he couldn't be Peter Parker in a movie. So this was some olive branch that was thrown to this dipshit actor. But it was made in the Ultimate Universe where they killed off Peter Parker, and this was the guy that took his place. Like, this is another guy that got spider powers and took up the mantle. He's not a bad character. And in all fairness, by the time they killed off Peter Parker, they had already run the Ultimate Universe into the dirt. So I hardly cared. And I got to admit, his costume design is pretty cool. I like his costume design. Kind of the red webbing over the black. It's very simple, but pretty iconic. It doesn't look good in this big ensemble picture because you can't really see the webbing pattern, but I like it. It's a cool costume. And the reason he has a different costume is when he first went out there, because everybody in the Ultimate Universe knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man and that he died, right? So it was like everybody respected him, and there was like a memorial to him and stuff. So like when he first went out in a Spider-Man costume, everyone called him an asshole because like that's Peter's costume. But anyways, somehow I think like the Ultimate Universe got destroyed or something, and Spider-Man and like Black Spider-Man ended up in the main universe, which could be a very interesting dynamic. Like he's the sole survivor of a dead universe. It would be kind of like Power Girl post-crisis, but like his family and his best friend, like all the ensemble cast is with him in this book. And no one seems to reference the fact that they're in a new universe kind of thing. So I don't understand what the fuck's going on with that. It just seems like badly written crap. There's actually a book called Squadron Supreme that came out. Squadron Supreme's had many different versions, but a Squadron Supreme version from like 2015, I think it was, where each member was a sole survivor of a universe that had been destroyed in this like big cosmic event that happened just before that. And they were in the regular Marvel universe, and they had kind of basically like a lot of them were sort of Justice League analogs, as it were. They sort of had Justice League type powers, and each one of them, they all kind of got together as a team and decided, we're going to do whatever it takes to protect this world. We've all already lost one world. You know what I mean? Yeah, that on the side there, that's the new Squadron Supreme, as it were. So basically, imagine the Justice League with Frank Castle mentality. It was actually a pretty good book. It was one of the few of the last few years at Marvel that was decent. But yeah, there's so much of this stuff. So much of modern Marvel's just so shitty. As I said, I hope I hope that we get better stuff from the new guy, but who knows? Somebody says, isn't Danny Glover like 75 years old? Thank you in the chat. I meant Donald Glover. The black guy from Community, from the show Community. No, not Danny Glover. Whatever. Whatever. I think you knew who we were talking about. Let's see what we got in the chat here. SJW comic characters are just about as fun to spend time with as real life SJWs are. Yeah, it's reading the Durka Miss Marvel is about as fun as what's that fucking communist liberal chick Linda something? It's about as fun as listening to one of her speeches about peaceful trucks or whatever the fuck she talks about. You get that off there, man. Let's go back to Nazi Supergirl. That's way better to look at.
There we go.
Was it racist Power Rangers? What was that?
Oh, that's the wrong background. There we go.
Oh, man. That's better. Fucking Nazi Supergirl is best waifu. Let's see. Antidem says diversity in comics says the new boss will be a good thing. Well, I certainly hope it is, and I think a lot of higher ups are going to try and clear that shit up. Let's see. And I certainly hope they will. I hate Marvel Comics is something I loved for a large portion of my life, and it would be a shame to see it die in such a pitiful way. You know, it would be a shame to, or worse yet, just shamble on as this, you know, a mockery of what it once was. But you know, SJWs, they ruin everything they fucking touch. I actually saw a panel from a G.I. Joe comic that they're publishing right now, in which I can't remember the wording, but it was something like, you know, all the members of G.I. Joe are people that washed out of the military because they didn't like authority, or they literally, one of the quotes is they failed PT. So I'm like, G.I. Joe went from an elite special forces task force to a bunch of losers who couldn't do enough push-ups to get through boot camp. That's what the fuck G.I. Joe is now? Fuck you. Like, why must they just crabs in the bucket with everything? You know, you can't have the slightest bit of aspirational fiction. You know? I mean, if you've never seen like the big, long, extended G.I. Joe intro that they think they did for like the animated movie or something, it's just a work of art. You'll have like a 10-foot long erection with a fucking bald eagle on the end. All right. It's just as America as could fucking be. And it's the exact kind of thing you should be showing kids. And instead it's like, no, it's the fucking the SJW brigade. Like, fuck that, man. Ugh. Yeah, SJW. Ugh. There's just something about how they turn things to shit. Just oh, and I saw a review of Justice League, where they kind of the movie where they kind of confirm my fears about Flash and Aquaman being kind of like, Aquaman's just like a dude who sits around getting drunk all the time. You know, Flash is basically the worst like the worst characterization of Peter Parker imaginable is who they've decided Barry Allen is. And then Batman is just very obviously fat and old and out of shape in this movie. Like that's what I've heard. And it doesn't surprise me. Oh, and the only one that seems competent is Cyborg, because of course. I don't think I'm gonna see this movie. Like, I might see it on fucking DVD. But I'm not seeing it in the theater. I don't want to. It's just like right away, just this fucking image of it, right? Like, just this fucking image doesn't look good. All right, like Wonder Woman looks good, and the movie was good. All right, But like, let's just analyze how this looks for a second. Let's say you didn't even know anything about the DC movies. You just knew the comics, and you showed this picture. You might be like, well, I kind of like Superman. That looks good. Wonder Woman looks good. Why does Batman look old and out of shape like Dark Knight Returns Batman? And you'd be like, what the fuck Cyborg doing here? You know, assuming you're not familiar with New 52. Flash looks like shit. That Flash costume looks like shit. There is a better looking Flash costume on network fucking television than in a theatrical big budget movie. And then I'd be like, since when is Namor part of the fucking Justice League? Because that's not Aquaman. That's just long hair Namor. That's just Conan with a trident. And don't get me wrong, I like Conan. I like Jason Momoa's Conan. I honestly think it's objectively better than the Arnold movies. It's certainly better than the Arnold movies if you're familiar with the source material. But Jason Momoa is not fucking Aquaman, all right? And he's not even... Nothing in those trailers makes me think of Aquaman at all. It's just fucking Conan with a trident. Antidem says something here that I actually would have disagreed with, although it's panning out like he says. He says, my theory, there's something about Marvel and DC that means that Marvel stories make better movies and DC stories make better TV shows. Yes, there are exceptions, but in general, it holds up. It kind of is holding up, but I would have, years ago at least, I would have thought the exact opposite. I would have thought there's something about DC characters, say the Justice League, that just lends itself to big, epic storytelling, and something about the Marvel characters that lend themselves to more episodic storytelling. I grant you it's panning out the way Anti-Dem's saying, much to my shock, but... Oh, you know what else is funny? The fucking Inhuman show. Because Marvel shows are shit. The TV shows are shit. The Netflix shows are okay. At least Daredevil is. I haven't seen the other ones. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is crap. And fucking the Inhumans ratings was so bad, it's actually getting blamed for ruining 2020's ratings. Like, I guess 2020 apparently has been up against Dateline for a little while now. And for the first time in a while after the Inhumans finale, Dateline beat 2020.
Are these the characters?
What?
This image, are these the...
Yeah, that's the Inhuman show. That it looks... I mean, I guess it kind of looks true to the source material, but it also just looks fucking bad. I don't know. It just, something about it looks boring. It looks like a show from the 90s. I don't know. I don't really think the Inhumans can hold their own show in the first place, and apparently America agrees with me. I don't know. Like I said, I'm so not as into it as I used to be, just because so much of it's just bad. I mean, I didn't even watch like any of the Netflix shows except Daredevil. And I like Daredevil a lot. I think Daredevil season 1 is a masterpiece. Season 2 is good. It's not quite season 1. I don't know. I mean, Flash and Arrow are fun. You know, Supergirl's shit. And I wanted to like Supergirl, but Supergirl was rough. The only episodes I think I ever got, I watched the pilot. Like, I got through it. I watched like part of the second episode and just got bored. And I think in season 1, the only other episode I watched was the one that the Flash showed up in. She looks good as the character, and she's a decent actress. It's badly written. I like Supergirl as a concept, too. You know, I mean, you have this either teenage girl or young girl, depending on how exactly you place her age, that's kind of trapped in her cousin's shadow and stuff like that. It's interesting. It's also kind of interesting because she's technically older than her cousin. Because, I mean, in most versions and all, she left Krypton as a teenager. He left Krypton as a baby. So her rocket just took longer to get there, I guess, and she was in suspended animation or whatever. So, she arrives as a teenager when he's already at this point a full-grown man. Let's see. What else did I want to talk about? Go through the chat here. Did you see the new Flash's interview with Wonder Woman where he is talking about heteronormative patriarchy? I did not. I don't know what you're talking about there, but that sounds just awful. Anti-Dem says Luke Cage was pretty good because whoever made it obviously had a thing for 70s blaxploitation movies, so it had the feel of one. I've heard Luke Cage was good, and I like Luke Cage as a character. I just haven't gotten around to watching it. One of the more interesting things from the 2000s when Spider-Man finally became a full-time Avenger, it was right around the same time Luke Cage did, and they developed quite this buddy rapport with each other that was really interesting. Like they were sort of both the new guys and generally the street level guys, so they sort of became real buddies on the Avengers together. There's actually this one scene. There was a storyline called House of M, where Scarlet Witch had gone batshit insane, and she like remade reality into this like alternate world where mutants ruled and everyone had false memories. It wasn't like time travel where she changed the past. It was like she literally just rewrote reality. You know what I mean? And eventually the heroes got together and fixed it somehow. But the point is, in this alternate reality, Gwen Stacy is still alive and Spider-Man is married to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he, with all the other heroes, fixes reality, and then with him and Luke Cage both wake up together, or not together. I don't mean it like that. Things hadn't gotten that bad yet. I mean, they both wake up in the Avengers Tower, and they're like some of the heroes are getting together, like seeing who remembers it, and it was only the heroes that were at like that last stand that remember the alternate world, which doesn't include Tony Stark or Captain America, for example. So like they're all kind of at the Avengers meeting, like talking about what happened and filling in the people who don't know. And Spider-Man, you can imagine like he has all these false memories of just a little while ago being married to his, first love, and now he's back married. You can imagine how that kind of just fucks you emotionally. You know what I mean? So it's like a scene where he's just kind of just like he's like they're all sitting around the round table or whatever talking about it, and he just kind of like flips out and he just like smashes the table with his fist, and like not really hard, but I mean he's fucking Spider-Man, so he fucked up the table. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Tony Stark, of course, pays for everything in the Avengers. And there's a scene where Tony Stark's like, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And then like Luke Cage just kind of puts his hand up, and he's like, "Dude, you'll buy another one." And then he's kind of like putting his hand on like Spider-Man on Peter's shoulder and shit like that. Like, it's okay, dude. That was back when they actually had writers that knew what the fuck they were doing. Let's see. Somebody says, how do you feel about the possibility Disney is going to finally buy back the X-Men and Fantastic Four? I would really, really like to see the Fantastic Four in the cinematic universe. I mean, the X-Men, it would be nice, but not as nice as seeing the X-Men and the Avengers together is. It's way cooler for me to see the Fantastic Four and the Avengers together. So he says, Luke and Peter sleeping together. You should write for Marvel. Yeah, that's probably going to be the next story. The ratings are fucking going.
I'm sure there's something on DeviantArt.
Oh, dude. I saw this article. It was like a year or two ago, but it was the girl Thor and the black Captain America were making out or something in one of these Avengers issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just said like Thor and Captain America were going to share a kiss. And as the headline, and I had briefly forgotten that every character has been fucking replaced. So in my head, I'm picturing like actual Thor and Steve, right? Oh. And I had this brief moment where like, no, please God, no. Like they do that too, wouldn't they? The sons of bitches. Hmm. Somebody says Grant Gustin might look like kind of a twink, but at least he's not a total soy boy like the Flash from the movie. Yeah, the Flash in the movie looks like shit. I mean, at least in the TV show, yeah, the guy's kind of too skinny and he's played off kind of too young, but at least he's still an accomplished forensic scientist, like Barry Allen is supposed to fucking be. That's some guy who hangs out in his mom's basement or whatever the fuck's going on in that trailer.
And his best catchphrase in the trailer is, "I don't really fight people. I just push them out of the way and run."
Oh, jeez. Somebody says X-Men needs a break. You can't reboot it for a while. The 2000 to 2017 was just too iconic. 2000 2017 iteration was just too iconic. I don't know. They're doing a lot of cool shit with the X-Men right now, but it's a lot of like side stuff. Like I think the New Mutants movie looks interesting. I've heard good things about the Gifted. You know, they had that Legion show recently. They're doing a lot of interesting stuff with the X-Men franchise. I think Fox has by and large done some really good stuff with it over the years. I mean, X-Men 1 and 2, while you can argue they haven't aged well, they're still, at least for the time, were really good superhero movies. I think First Class is pretty solid. I think Days of Future Past is really good. We finally got a solid Wolverine flick with Logan. The Deadpool movies are, I mean, Deadpool was fantastic. Deadpool 2 looks great.
Have you seen it? Oh, you saw the trailer for, which one did you see?
I saw the one where it's like he's painting, like, and he's got a big Bob Ross wig over his Deadpool mask.
Yes.
It's fantastic. I love the Deadpool movies. Well, the movie, but even the second one looks good. I love how it's like him just painting for a while, and then there's like 10 seconds of movie footage. Yeah, Deadpool's fantastic.
At the end of the day, he paints. At the end, he paints this.
Oh, dude. Yeah, the Thanksgiving thing.
Oh, it's I think it's a poster that you're using for a promotion.
Yeah, it's one of their promotional teaser posters, but
and I get Cable and all them.
I like how there's like a joke where he paints like this snowy landscape, and he's like, "Oh, I'd just like to roll around in all that wonderful white powder, just get high on the joys of nature." You know, like he's making all these vague cocaine references, and then he just gets quiet for a second and goes, "Good God, I love cocaine." Oh yeah, it's great. That movie from beginning to end was just damn solid.
And the human bombshells are usual self.
Oh yeah, the teenage Negasonic warhead. Apparently they like Fox was telling them or something you could pick like 2 X-Men, so they picked like Colossus, and they literally are scrolling through like, you know, Marvel character encyclopedias, and they find this dipshit character that like I think appeared in like 3 issues of Gen X or something and then was killed off, you know, and they just saw the name and the writer's just like, that one.
Well, at least her hair is longer in this one.
What's this?
Colossus. Yeah, at least her hair is longer now.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. You know what's funny about the Deadpool movie is like in the movie, like the X-Men kind of want him to join and he wants no part of it. Whereas that is an exact opposite characterization from how he is in the comics. In the comics, Deadpool is constantly desperate to join any and every superhero team that will have him. And most superheroes want nothing to do with him. Like there was like a whole big story arc where he was desperately trying to join the X-Men for a while, and they just didn't want no part of him. Like there's one issue where he's like he's fighting some monster with Thor, and afterwards he's like, "Hey Thor, it was a great team up," and Thor's like, "This wasn't a team up. I don't know you." Like he just nobody wants anything to do with him. Everyone finds him just annoying as hell. There it is.
Well, that's one that says, "I really find you very attractive." Did I say that out loud? Who speaks? Oh, thank God.
Uh, uh. Somebody says, "Doesn't Deadpool literally marry Death?" Well, no, not Death, but it's some like demon monster chick or something. I forget exactly what the hell her deal is. Let's see.
Oh, a wedding picture, I think.
Oh yeah, it was some demon chick. I can't remember exactly what her deal was. Let's see. Scrolling through the chat here a little bit.
Oh, here she is.
Somebody says, "Why are his eyes white?" That's just part of the mask. Yeah, that's her.
Shikla.
Yeah, I'm really not like I haven't read a ton of the Deadpool comics here the last couple of years, so I'm really not sure what the hell her deal is, to be honest. But
Apparently, there's some sort of ancient race, and she was initially going to be married to Dracula.
yeah, I knew she had some ties to Dracula because Dracula just exists in the Marvel universe. It just does. Fuck it. It's weird. I current comics, I'm not sure, but for some reason, like for the longest time, the only modern superheroes Dracula ever seemed to fight were the X-Men and Spider-Man. Like you'd think it'd be Doctor Strange or something, but no.
Here. Shikla repaid Deadpool's service by attempting to absorb his life force by kissing him, but failed to do so due to Deadpool's healing factor.
I remember back in like the 80s when Dracula wanted to marry Storm. Like he kept trying to like kidnap Storm from the X-Men and take her as his bride. Like he was just all about Storm for some reason.
Well, I guess he likes the contrast.
Yeah, he was just all about Storm for some reason. Just
dark skin, white hair, white skin, dark hair. Perfect. They're a checkerboard.
there you go. Well, you know what they say. Once you go black, your credit score is terrible. Let's see. Davis says about Deadpool's mask. How does he see through it? I don't know. How does Batman see through his mask? I don't know. Maybe they're like little one-way lenses, like Spider-Man's mask. Let's see. Somebody in the chat saying Deadpool is a kid's movie. No, it's definitely not a kid's movie.
No.
It's most definitely not a kid's movie. Like if you fucking took your kids to see Deadpool, you failed. You failed parenting.
Although I'm reasonably certain a lot of parents did just because it's Deadpool.
Well, I mean, like it's like if there'd be no problem with a teenager seeing it or something. But no, little kids should not be seeing fucking Deadpool.
Okay, yeah, it's not a kid movie.
Although I'm one to talk. I think when I was like 6 or something, I saw Total Recall in the theater with my dad. So my dad had no problem taking me to see R-rated action movies. He didn't give a shit. I mean, usually I was hanging around him and his, fucking Navy buddy. So I learned some colorful words from a young age. Let's see. Davis Arini says, I've been looking for that three-titted woman ever since. That's a great movie. Total Recall. No waifu, no laifu. I saw that. Man.
I guess this is the younger version of her. Or the new modern version of it.
I keep forgetting they remade that movie. I didn't see the remake. I couldn't tell you how it is. They remade RoboCop too. I wonder how the remake of RoboCop was.
Meh. It was like the first, it'll never be able to replace the first one. They basically tried to have a more humane backstory because in the new one he actually sees his wife and kid because not years don't go by.
Oh, you told me earlier you finally saw that Leap movie.
Oh yeah.
What'd you think of it?
I'm so excited I didn't see it in the theater.
Yeah, I was a lady friend I was seeing. She wanted to go see it, and so I'm like, I don't care, whatever. There's nothing I go see except superhero movies anymore. Movies all suck now. So I'm like, I don't care, whatever. But I actually really liked it. I was very surprised. It's like some cartoon movie about ballerinas, and I'm like,
girl. It's just about an orphan girl wants to become a ballerina. It's actually
this is shockingly good.
and not to mention the animation is just jaw-droppingly good. I mean, you actually can convince yourself you're actually looking at two people actually moving and dancing.
Oh yeah, the animation in it was absolutely gorgeous. Good voice acting in it.
Well, even if the main character sounded a little older than they should have.
The pacing felt a little wonky at times to me. Like there were times it just felt really, really rushed. And there were a bunch of characters, like side characters that are just kind of introduced and then they go nowhere.
Yeah, they're just they're just one-line characters. They have like 2 lines in the whole movie.
But it feels like they're introducing them as like side characters that they're gonna like develop and then they just don't. You know what I mean? It feels like stuff with them got on the cutting room floor or something.
Yeah.
But it was actually a damn solid flick, and there's not a lot of good animated movies out there right now. I mean, you got studios like Sony Animation, which farts out crap. You got Illumination Studios, which, I mean, literally just farts out the cheapest, quickest stuff it can do. I mean, what did Illumination Studios do? They did the Despicable Me movies and
the Lorax.
Yeah, the Lorax and a bunch of shit I can't remember. Like, I think they did Sing or something. I really like Despicable Me 1. I think it's actually a really good flick. That said, though, I can understand why people find the Minions annoying. Despicable Me 2 is just kind of forgettable. The Minions movie is just kind of forgettable. I don't think they're bad. I just, in a way, they're almost worse in that they're just there.
What's weird about this movie is that, in the original, it's originally a French movie originally called Ballerina, but and the production companies they're all French companies, so I have never heard of them in America.
Yeah, I had heard it was a French studio, but I hope they do more stuff in the States because, like I said, let's not just be left with fucking Sony Animation giving us fucking emoji movies and.
Yeah, I like to think that this is a good competition for Disney and Sony.
Yeah, they could. I mean, the stuff in there was Pixar level beautiful at times. And to be honest, I would almost argue that this movie does human faces better than most Pixar movies do. I mean, unless they do very stylized, like The Incredibles, Pixar's never been good at human faces without kind of falling into the uncanny valley, in my opinion. Like, I think the humans in Toy Story, for example, like...
Oh, yeah, that was... In Toy Story 1, that was way, way crude.
Well, yeah, but even now, I mean... they could get away with it in WALL-E because the humans looked... were so fat. But there's a few of the characters in Brave that I think are too realistic and suffer for it.
Oh yeah, but that movie was more an excuse to just make a girl with curly hair, a curly redhead.
Yeah, Brave's just kind of there. It's again one of those movies where I wouldn't even call it bad. Like it's just sort of there. And Sony just farts out shit.
What was Sony making last?
The Emoji Movie.
Oh yeah.
It's like we decided to make Wreck-It Ralph, but with a much thinner.
Oh yeah, they made it the new Smurfs movie, Transylvania Hotel, and what was that movie?
Transylvania looked good. I haven't gotten to see it, but I actually thought it looked kind of good.
Oh,
I've heard a lot of people shit on it, but I thought it looked good.
Oh yeah, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
You know, that one I've never seen, and I've heard really good things about it, but I just look at the trailer, I'm like, this looks dumb as shit, even for a kid's movie.
Yeah, the trailer is, the character is really a stupid character, but it is very fun, like for what it is.
It might be good, but it just looks like the kind of premise that shouldn't work. It looks like the kind of thing that even as like a 5-year-old, I would have thought like that's dumb. Yeah, but Leap is surprisingly good.
Yeah, I originally didn't want to go see it because I thought, do I really want to see this movie? Because normally movies like this that come from France or from Europe are usually things that just go straight to Netflix, but this is one of their good ones.
Like I said, I just, I got taken to go see it basically, and I'm sitting there like, damned if this isn't good. And it was Mel Brooks doing the voice of the one dude in it. Like the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like, that guy's voice is familiar. Where the hell do I know that guy?
Yeah, the orphanage guy, right?
Yeah, the guy working at the orphanage.
Yeah. He sounds like that sounds like Mel Brooks, but maybe just an impersonator. But no, that's Mel Brooks.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was wondering. I was like, this guy's going for like a Mel Brooks vibe. It's hard to tell. Kind of like how the guy who did The Brain and Pinky and the Brain always sounded like Orson Welles.
And of course, that whole Orson Welles gag in that one episode.
Well, I also remember he every once in a while they would show like old Orson Welles clips, quote unquote, on the Critic, and it was usually that guy doing the voice.
Right.
Let's see.
But yeah, if you ever have a chance you guys ever have a chance to see it and you like animation, check it out.
Yeah, it's surprisingly good. I honestly liked it a lot. It was a cute, touching little cartoon.
And I originally wanted to see this because I was actually going to go see it with my niece because my niece is into dancing classes. I thought, oh, this would be perfect for her.
Yeah, it's weird. Like on the trailer, there's the poster. There's the kid with the like her male friend with his fucking flying machine thing, and like yeah, that's in the movie, but it plays like such a small part. Like you look at the poster, you think, what is this about a kid that makes a Da Vinci flying machine thing? And it's like, no, that's just this tiny ass little subplot to this movie about a girl that wants to be a dancer.
Yeah, there's a more accurate poster right here.
Yeah, that's what the movie's about. And like, I guess somebody in the States is like, we're not gonna sell that. Put the kid with the fucking Hawkman wings on.
Of course, in Europe, it was originally just called Ballerina, so they had to make it more attractive. And it actually looks like the poster back in Europe looks more like this. Which is more.
Oh, go ahead.
It's actually more mysterious and dynamic because I don't know why, because in America we have to make all our images so action filled.
Yeah, like I said, you gotta just put the kid with the wing thing on. That's like 10 seconds in a fucking movie, basically.
The last 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's like this little thing that happens at the end of the movie, and they just would have you believe that's the whole movie right there.
Oh yeah, this is another. Oh yeah,
It's
I
a
guess
story
they did
about a
that
boy
too.
who makes a flying machine and his redhead girlfriend. No, that's not what it is at all. Let's see. Yeah, that's a better I mean, that's a more accurate poster for it. And like I said, there's no reason I, as a like, if you told me like, hey, Chris, you should go see this movie about a ballerina, my response would be, you should go fuck yourself. Yeah, but damned if I didn't love that movie.
Oh yeah, there's the one scene where they're saying, "Okay, time to do the splits." And one girl can't get off the floor. Oh yep. So I enjoyed it, and I wish I didn't miss out on the theaters.
Yeah, it's. Let's see. Somebody is asking Arini in the chat. Do you still watch BoJack Horseman? You know, I've been meaning to catch that show. I've heard really good things about it. But I mean, I only watched 3 shows, and I've managed to get myself about 2 weeks behind on them. Like I watched Flash, Arrow, and Orville, and I somehow managed to get 2 weeks behind on it. Which, by the way, everyone, you should watch Orville. I really can't recommend that show enough. It's not perfect. It's definitely got room to grow, but it is only season 1 of this show, and it was really marketed as a comedy, and it's not. It's at least equal parts drama as it is comedy, but it's just really good. Luke, you got into it here recently, didn't you?
Yeah, Isaac is my favorite.
Oh yeah, dude. It's got a lot of humor to it, but it's a very natural humor. It's a humor that just of characters working together. I mean, there's one line in the first episode that I love where like the captain, Captain Seth MacFarlane, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but Captain Seth MacFarlane is addressing his new crew, right? And the black guy raises his hand and he's like, the last captain let us have sodas on the bridge. Is that still okay? And he's completely taken aback by this question. It's like the last thing he expected. So he's like, yeah, I guess that's fine as long as you don't spill it on anything or whatever. So then they're like, later in the episode, they're like hailing some other spaceship or something, and you just cut to him at his panel, and he just kind of brings up like the soda cup with the straw, and he just sort of takes a sip of it as he's watching the screen.
And he first goes, and when he first goes to Isaac, he says like, "Wow, I'm surprised they have a Kalon here. Are you guys like notoriously racist?"
Yeah, and Isaac he's on board as like, because they're not a part of the union, not the Federation, but the union. They're not officially a part of the union, but they're on good relations with them. And he basically just is there as some sort of cultural exchange program because he wants to learn about the lesser biological organisms.
And in one segment, he has, "I'm quite fat," and he's talking to the girl on the far right. Says, "I'm quite fascinated by the interlockings of biological life forms. I'd be very happy to attempt sexual relations with you, Lieutenant."
Well, no, it's because that girl is like from a species that's just like stronger than most species, right?
The gravity is like 20 times stronger here, so she's in normal gravity. She's 20 times stronger, and yeah,
she's 20 times stronger than anybody else on the ship.
And Seth always asks her, "Hey, can you open this jar of pickles?"
Yeah, it's priceless. But there's like a line in there where I guess she had broken up with somebody some other character on the ship. I don't think we'd even seen. And I guess he didn't like the fact that she was so strong. He just considered it unnerving. And then they were joking, and they're like, well, if you could only date a guy stronger than you, you'll have to date Isaac. And then Isaac is like, yeah, I'd be happy to attempt sexual relations with you. And she's just like, I'll keep that in mind.
I need to work on myself for now, but thank you.
Yeah, that's what it was. Well, like the redhead dude, right? He was like Captain Seth MacFarlane's best friend in college or something, and he was a big fuck up. But Captain Seth brought him on the ship as a navigator because A, he's a good navigator, and B, he wants to help his buddy out. He wants to give him a new chance and all.
Oh yes.
There's a line in the one where they're about to go through like a wormhole or something, and like the redhead dude's all like, back in the academy, we called these the glory hole, and then the captain just goes, "You called it that. No one else called it that." And then there's the one, Brutus is his name, the Klingon-looking alien, just goes like, "Captain, we are now entering the glory hole."
Oh,
like,
my favorite.
My favorite. Don't call it that. You know what? Never mind. I don't care.
Oh, my favorite scene so far is when they try to teach Isaac humor, and he tries to teach him a practical joke.
Oh, dude, it's so great. They try to teach Isaac a practical joke, right? And they're trying to explain to him humor. So next thing you know, you see the fucking redhead dude like hop into the ship, and he's missing a leg, right? And he's all like, "Isaac, you fucking cut my leg off, didn't you?" And he's like, "Yes, it is a practical joke."
He said, "Ha ha, I got you."
And he's like, "You drugged me in your sleep?" In my sleep, he's like, "Well, of course, you would have woken up otherwise." And apparently, I guess they have the technology where they could just, the doctor can regrow your limbs or something. So he's fine like next episode. But it's a great show. It's got a lot of humor, but it's got a decent amount of drama too. I highly recommend it. Anybody who ever if you ever enjoyed Star Trek, you'll enjoy the Orville. The Orville is damn near the best Star Trek show ever.
Oh, and watch out for the episode the will, like I think it's called like the Will of the People, where they actually go to a planet that's actually a whole live action Facebook democracy.
Oh, dude, that episode's damn good.
Yeah, majority rule, that's the word.
Yeah, like everything is like judged by like popular opinion on like this constant social media feed.
They don't have laws.
People downvote you, you can go to jail.
They don't have like laws. They don't have like codes of conduct. They just see someone doing something wrong. They all vote it's a bad behavior, and you get punished. You get lobotomized.
Irini says, "How does Isaac see through the blue eye sockets?" Those actually aren't eye sockets. He just has he has a whole bunch of sensors in him and stuff like that. The actual like little glowy eye things are just for show.
Yeah, they just to create maybe more similar to humans.
Yeah, he literally put them there because I forget how he described it, but basically it would make interacting with humans easier.
And that was actually part of the practical joke they pulled on him. They the guy put Mr. Potato Head pieces on his face. Like, how can you see with all those things on your face? My eyes are completely aesthetic. I just sense everything on internal sensors.
Oh yeah, it's like the sensors weren't even on his head, so he wasn't even really picking up the things that were on his head.
And they weren't a threat to him. Like, I guess my sensors didn't figure these Mr. Potato Head pieces as a threat. Oh, that's good stuff.
It's a great show. The dialogue in it's great. Like when they go through the wormhole, like it rattles the ship a little bit, because it's a wormhole, I guess, and there's turbulence in the wormhole. Just go with it. So they get out and like he goes damage report, and then she goes through list of just all bunch of minor stuff, like a little bit of hull damage here or whatever, and then she goes and Ensign Rodriguez spilled soy sauce on his pants. And he just goes, "He put that in the damage report?" And she's like, "Apparently, sir." And he's like, "Christ, we need better people." Yeah, dude, the Orville is just an absolutely fantastic show.
And again, for my favorite of Isaac, it's she says when he's noticing that the children on the ship are acting unruly, he says on my home planet, when a program is not acting like it should, it gets destroyed. Well, that's always an option. If you like, I will vaporize them.
Yeah, it's a great show.
I can go on for that forever.
Yeah, I highly recommend watching that show. Like I said, if you've ever been a fan of Star Trek, you'll like the Orville. I think it was kind of unfairly marketed. It was marketed mostly as a comedy, and it really isn't. I mean, it's definitely got comedic elements, but they just flow naturally from the situations. It's not primarily a comedy by any chance. Oh, and like the bad guys, the Klingons, are basically Muslims.
Oh, are they called the Kree, aren't they?
The Krill, and they have and the show does get a little fedora at times because I mean it's basically Star Trek, so of course it does. But they're talking about how the Krill are the only advanced race that religion is still a dominating factor, and they have like this hyper violent. It's basically fucking Muslims. They're just fucking Muslims. You can't negotiate them with them because they have this hyper violent religion that says they can butt fuck the whole rest of the galaxy, and it's whatever the hell their God's name's will is. So they're Muslims. Oh, and they're also like they're really pale like that. They come to find out because they live on a planet that has almost no sunlight, so they have no like they kill a bunch of them by UV rays at one point. Yeah, that's like their church where they're pulling out a dead human head and shit like that. They're Muslims. Yeah, it's a great show.
So Davis has shared a picture with me and would like you to see it.
Okay, what is it?
It has nothing to do with the show, though.
Oh,
someone got a lifelike tattoo.
Okay. I really don't like tattoos in general.
What, is this on the person's stomach or back? Oh, not that one.
Well, when you're at
the fedora. It had something good for fedora reference.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Before I forget, let's go ahead and do a sponsor while I'm remembering, because I would have probably forgot.
Here we go. When someone says God is real.
That's fantastic. Let's go ahead and do the sponsor. Bringing it up here. Bringing up my ad copy. Totally unprepared. Totally unprofessional. Also, if you enjoy the show, if you like what I'm doing, there's the PayPal down below where you can send me some shekels with a little one-time donation of some shekels. And shekels are greatly appreciated. But if you really like what I do, you can be a regular patron over on my Patreon. You know, support my Patreon and send me some shekels that way every month. Because, you're not going to miss a couple bucks a month. You're not going to miss that. But you throw that my way. As I understand it, I already have more Patreon dollary dues than Laura Loomer. So I got that going for me. I'm looking forward to when I pass those cucks, Maddox and Spoonie. That'd be really nice. Not even because of the money, just because fuck those guys. Although the shekels would also be nice. So, sponsor this week. Tonight, I should say. Christmas is not just around the corner, but it might as well be. You're going to procrastinate until the 11th hour and hope Walmart is open late Christmas Eve. Worse, some of you will do your Christmas shopping on Black Friday because you hate yourself and want to be an easy target for terrorists. But if you're smart and want to make your Christmas shopping easy, do it now and buy one of Aaron Clary's books. Clary's books are the gift that nobody wants, but everybody needs. Be it Bachelor Pad Economics, Worthless, Reconnaissance Man, Curse of the High IQ, Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty, Clary's books make great gifts for all the men in your life. All men and even women need the knowledge, wisdom, and advice found in these books. So give the gift that can save lives, Aaron Clary's books. They're available in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook formats, all conveniently on Amazon.com. And while you're at it, why not consider hiring Cappy for a private consultation to make sure you're not fucking up? Visit him at assholeconsulting.com. So there you go. Sponsor for tonight. Somebody talking about Laura Loomer's Patreon. I also have 4 working tires. Don't talk to Laura Loomer or her tire ever again. So here's a little interesting thing. I wanted to talk about it last night, but I kind of forgot. Or Friday night, because I guess it's technically Sunday morning after all. Twitter is going on the fucking rampage against conservatives right now. Now, I got banned from Twitter a little while ago because of my vile hate speech. I'm still on there on a troll account, but, that's more just to follow people than, to keep track of Twitter than to actually interact with people. And Eric Erickson, who's this huge conservative, he recently got suspended from Twitter, not permanently, but like briefly. Laura Loomer got her check mark removed because apparently the blue check mark, it used to mean it just verified that this is actually this person, right? It was for people of high enough status that they would have people impersonating them, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Mostly celebrities, but anybody that's of high enough status that, you know, they might have fake accounts out there. You know what I mean? Well, now the check mark means that Twitter approves of you. So
Ah.
everybody's going to start losing a check mark that's right at Karl Marx. Also, Twitter now has the right, according to their new terms of service, to suspend you from Twitter for things you are not doing on Twitter.
Great.
So in other words, if Matt Forney, oh no, he's already suspended from Twitter, bad example. Oh, Davis Arini. Let's say Davis Arini decides to come on here and for whatever reason, maybe he's had a bit too much of the Captain Morgan tonight. He decides to just spew a bunch of racial epithets and then gets off my show. Let's assume he did that. Twitter could throw him off Twitter merely for that, even though he did it nowhere near Twitter. Because Twitter is bound and determined to kill its site. So in the next couple, if you're on Twitter, here's what you should do. You should, report every leftist Twitter account you can for every fucking violation. Now, Twitter will never follow through on those rules. But here's the thing. Fuck Twitter. Fuck it as a company. And every time you report stuff, they have to go through a little bit of a process. And that little bit of a process costs a little bit of time and money. Now, that little bit of time and money on a big enough scale, repeated enough times, will hurt them. Also, here's what you do. I heard John Rivers suggest this on Gab, and I fully support him. If you're on Twitter, report conservatives, left and fucking right, no pun intended, but just all over the place. Everyone try and get Sean Hannity suspended. Sean Hannity getting suspended would be the boon that a site like Gab needs. It would be a big fucking deal. Try and get fucking Trump suspended. Report Trump out the ass. Now, I'm sure people are already doing that. But it would be fucking hilarious if they had the balls to try and support Trump or suspend Trump, because maybe he'd finally go through it, you know, deciding to get a bill through that treats this shit like utilities. Get every conservative you can thrown off that site. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but at this point, Twitter has gone so far. They're so far gone. They're not going to return to any semblance of sanity. So they need a push. They need a push in the direction of going off the cliff. So if you're on Twitter, report everything. Everything. Every fucking possible thing you can on there. Crash and burn. And you know what? Sites like Gab and sites like Minds, they're going to reap the benefits here in the next few months because there's going to be a mass exodus. You're going to see a lot of milquetoast conservatives even getting thrown off that site. I mean, shit, why the fuck was I thrown off? Who the fuck am I? You know what I mean? You know, I don't... What do I even say that is that bad? You know? Oh, by the way, Richard Spencer's still on there. Probably still has his check mark and probably always will. Gee, I wonder why that is. But yeah. Fuck with Twitter.
If no, he doesn't have his verification anymore.
Who, Spencer?
Spencer, yeah.
That's interesting. He's not getting thrown off there, though. The left loves that guy. They want... I don't know if he's a fucking... you could call him a fed. You could call him a useful idiot, but for whatever reason, the left sure has no interest in deplatforming that guy, do they? If anything, they can't seem to give him enough of a platform.
Holy cow. He makes $1,000 on Patreon.
Who?
Spencer? Yeah.
Jeez. Who is giving that idiot money? Though, in all fairness, for as high as his profile is, that's not really a lot. I mean, shit. Didn't we find out the other night that Dick Masterson's getting 20K a month? Apparently, just to fuck with Maddox. Yeah, fucking with Maddox. That's where the real money is.
Unfortunately, he also has a Patreon account, but only making $40 there. But no big deal. He has 20,000 on the other channel.
I'm sure I'm sure Patreon doesn't have as big of a base. I kind of thought about making also a Patreon account, but I don't know. I mean, if I'm only getting like, I think it's $50 on my Patreon, what am I gonna get? Like 2 on the Patreon? I don't know. I might do it, but I don't also want to be sending people like to a bunch of different places to fucking, like, here's like the dozen ways you could send me money. Like that almost gets to be kind of, like I actually thought about doing like an Amazon wish list. Because on one level it sounds kind of faggy, like, yeah, buy me stuff. But I'll be honest, the reason like all these e-celebs do that is because getting stuff off the Amazon wish list is a good way to avoid taxes. And I respect that. I respect that. And I actually found out I had one. Like I looked on my Amazon account and I had one, and I remembered why. Like a couple years ago, a few of my friends, like we all started Amazon wish lists just so we could like give each other ideas for Christmas presents for each other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like I started one a couple years ago for that reason, so I could easily just update the damn thing and start pimping it if I wanted to. But there, like I said, there's something about just like, here's a dozen ways you could give me money that just starts to get a little too shilly. You know what I mean? Like I have 2 ways down there if you want to donate to me. You could send me a one-time donation through PayPal, or you can do a regular donation through Patreon. I think that's, either you want to send me a one-time thing or you want to be a regular, contributor. I don't need to be like, oh, and I accept Bitcoin and Amazon cards, and here's where you could personally meet me and suck my dick. I mean, like the e-celeb stuff gets just too crazy. You know what I mean? Like I get it. I get that, especially with the adpocalypse and stuff, donations are a good way for these guys to make money. And like I said, you should support the people you enjoy. If that's me, I certainly appreciate it. But whoever it is that you really, really enjoy on the interwebs, you should throw them a couple of bucks once in a while. And I practice what I preach. I've supported, different stuff. There's a YouTuber, The Geek Critique. I actually threw a couple of bucks on his Patreon a little while ago. It's good to support the people you enjoy. Somebody says, Bechtloff, if your Patreon surpasses 500 or so, you've topped Spoonie. Yeah, he's at like 580 now. Plus, he's constantly falling, so him and I might meet in the middle as I rise. Bechtloff, you're not going to post your address online like Team 10. Yeah, I'd rather not do that. I don't know who Team 10 is, though, but let's see. Yeah, I thought about putting the Amazon wish list up, but it just seems, I don't know, kind of faggy. Like, I'm sure Lauren Southern has a fucking Amazon wish list. All the betas buy her shit. All her cuck fans. Somebody says, what is it with these people becoming absolute cunts, Maddox and Spoonie? Well, yesterday I've decided that with both Maddox, Sean Baby, and Vox Day all suffer from the same problem, and that is the eternal Gen Xer mindset. We've all discussed the eternal boomer mindset. Well, the eternal Gen Xer mindset is when you want to take the piss out of everything around you, but you can't take the slightest bit of criticism yourself. Yeah, Maddox used to be kind of funny. Sean Baby back in the day was funny as shit. I mean, Sean Baby's website, I remember reading in like the early to mid 2000s, and there were times I'd read that website and I'm reading it. It's not even like videos at the time. And I'm laughing so hard I can barely breathe, But then, meanwhile, a couple years ago, Sean Baby came out against Gamergate. Ugh, fucking sad. So he says, Davis, Spoonie and his ilk are people who lucked onto success and could not separate their online personas from their real life selves. You know, that's a big problem. And I'm very mindful of that myself. I certainly don't have the level of success they did in their heyday, and I probably never will, for being honest. But there's certain things that I don't discuss here a great deal, personal things. And I mean, I get, slice of life kind of stories on here a lot, but I there's certain things I just don't discuss. I don't name names when it comes to my family or loved ones. You know what I mean? Like, I always refer to my friend or this girl I was seeing at the time or something, because I don't want people hassling, people I know, that kind of thing. And then you get guys like Spoonie where it's just, complete open book. You know what I mean? And that's a really bad idea. Now you compare that to, say, James Rolfe. James Rolfe, I followed him for a few years, and it wasn't until about a month ago that I found out he was even married, let alone married with a daughter. Because he doesn't put his personal life out there. James Rolfe doesn't put himself out there that much. He does kind of with the James and Mike Let's Plays that they do every Monday, but he's not into like making a sideshow out of his life. He's into being an entertainer, and then he goes and has his life. You know what I mean? That's something Spoonie never did. That's something a lot of those guys never did. James Rolfe doesn't have a Twitter account. Cinemassacre has an official Twitter account, but James Rolfe does not. That's the first time I've ever seen his wife. He doesn't parade that shit all through social media and stuff like that. He keeps a reasonably private personal life, and that's how you should do it. He has a separation between himself and his work, and that's healthy. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Oh, you know what? And I sent this to you earlier here, Luke. But I saw this thing on Facebook, and it kind of just made me cringe. Could you bring up that Orthodox picture, Luke?
I'm coming right up.
And I'm not trying to be a dick to the guy who put it up on Facebook, Lance Kennedy. I think I'm friends with the guy on Facebook. He seems like a cool guy. I'm not trying to throw shade at him. But he put up this picture, and it was like a bunch of the Orthodox priests, and it was like, resist the spirit of the age. And my first thought when I read the caption was like, resist the spirit of the age. And I'm like, by dressing like a jackass? Like, oh, it's so traditional. The Orthodox leadership look fucking ridiculous. I'm being so terrible. I know a lot of you are getting pissed already. And don't get me wrong, the Catholics are just about as bad. But I mean, what the hell is the shit that the Orthodox? I can't imagine being of the mindset. And again, this is one of the issues I have with the Orthodox and the Catholics, where they're so caught up on the externals. It's all about the pageantry and the fucking theatrics, and you're lighting the right candle at the right time or some shit like that. It's not real spirituality. It's the trappings of it. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that stuff, even if it can get kind of silly. It's just when you make an idol out of it, you really just run the risk of basically being like the Pharisees. You really run the risk of being the whitewashed tomb. And I mean, the way so many of the hyper trad Orthodox and Catholics, the Orthodox in this regard are a bit worse. You know, like I saw one of them, and it was a while back, but they were passing around this picture of this church that had. You see this a lot, where like, and it's mostly with the conservative Protestant churches, with evangelicals and all, but they'll take an old closed storefront and turn it into a church, right? And of course, the Orthodox and some of the Catholics, the trad Orthodox, would sneer at that because it's not a 400-year-old fucking cathedral building, you know? But in a way, I find it actually really beautiful, because what is Christianity about other than redemption? You know, other than taking something and making it new. You know what I mean? It's what it does to a human being, obviously. You know, so the idea of taking an abandoned building and repurposing it into a church, to me, that's far more beautiful than building a really, really pretty traditional looking building.
And when you think about like the earliest churches, they didn't have like buildings. They mostly just gathered in the tombs and just hid from the guard.
Yeah. And again, there's nothing inherently wrong with the big building, the big, pretty, old style looking building. I'm not saying that.
If you can afford it, go for it.
Yeah. But there's also nothing inherently wrong with the church in a box that we see up here either. And indeed, in its own way, it's very beautiful. And I can't get behind this mindset where it's like, you know, to be a man of God, you got to dress like a Dungeons and Dragons wizard. It's just kind of ridiculous, in my opinion. But even if you think all that stuff is really cool looking, it's not. Pageantry is not spirituality. You know, this is all just theatrics. And there's nothing inherently wrong with theatrics. There's nothing inherently wrong with ritual. Ritual can help cement a deeper spiritual reality in your head. And there's at least one ritual we're outright commanded to do, and that's baptism, you know, after you're saved. Yes, Catholics and Orthodox, it says after you're saved. So that kind of excludes babies.
Not sure if this is a good acronym for a church.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna hope that's a parody, but all right.
Christ resurrects after crack kills. House Ministries.
Well, you know what? Given that they're probably ministering to a bunch of ex-drug addicts, you know what? I'm not going to throw stones at that. Sometimes you got to be a little rough around the edges when you're reaching out to people like that. It's not necessarily the road I would have gone, but all right. I don't know. I just like I said, it's so caught up on the outward theatrics and stuff like that. It's just, you know, pretty buildings are not the church. Goofy outfits are not the church. You know, one of the most spirit-filled church services I ever experienced in my life literally happened in a fucking basement. You know, it was like we were in China and had to secretly gather or something. It was kind of weird. It was through a friend, but this guy he had left a church because of just some ecumenical politics issues. You know, he didn't feel like he could be a higher up at that church. And while he was looking for a new church, all the people who used to go to his small group that he hosted just kept showing up. And he eventually just had he would just do a makeshift church service every Wednesday for these people that just kept wanting to show up. And like I said, I was one of the most spirit-filled worship services I ever attended. And it's completely lacking in any kind of traditional, you know. Like I said before, there's nothing inherently wrong with that stuff, but you know. Pageantry is not spirituality. And like I said, those storefronts that get turned into churches, that is beautiful in my opinion. That is especially now with the retail apocalypse we've had, thanks to, you know, in part to Barack Obama, but in part to other factors. But all these closed stores, you know, I mean, you drive down a street with a bunch of closed buildings and stores, that's depressing as shit. and to literally pump new life, new spiritual life into one of these buildings like that. That's absolutely beautiful. I would, in my humble opinion, it's one of the most beautiful forms of churches I've ever seen pop up in my life. You know, I think Davis in the chat was like, it's tacky. No, it's not. It's beautiful. You know, tacky is dressing like a Dungeons and Dragons wizard, in my opinion. But again, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. Look, you want to, you want to wear a fancy dress or whatever the hell you call that thing. I don't know. But it's all well and good. Trust me, that's the least of my problems with the Catholic and Orthodoxy. You know, your goofy ass outfits. The watering down of the nature of the gospel is my biggest problem with them. But yeah, you want the big goofy hat with the gold leaf and all. That's all well and good, but there's nothing. I'm sorry, the outfits are so ridiculous. I didn't even mean to just start laughing when I saw that guy hanging out with Comrade Pope there, but like is he Orthodox or is he?
I'm pretty sure he's Orthodox.
I think he's Orthodox. He seems to have more of the Orthodox flair to his wonderful little outfit there. What was it Common Phil said one time when he was making fun of like the Orthodox and the Catholic churches, where he was like, he's like, most of the Bible isn't hard to understand. Yeah, there's some stuff in there that might take some thought, but the basic meat of Christianity is pretty easy to just pick up and read. So just read the Bible and quit listening to what some faggot in a dress says about it. Oh, good old Common Phil. Of course, the best Pope is Scotty from Eurotrip.
Say, does the Pope look happy or sad in this picture?
I really hate fucking Francis.
It's almost like, oh great, I have to be in this picture.
You know, one of these changing subjects just slightly here, but one of is this private Facebook group I'm in, and they showed that here recently a bunch of higher up politicians are walking around with I think it was their left leg in a cast, like their ankle had been broken or something. And he pointed out that around this time last year, I think it was, a bunch of them around the same time were walking around with like their one eye, and I think it was all the same eye, like had a black eye, like they all claim they fell or something. And there's a lot of rumors going around that a lot of that shit is from like secret, I don't know, Illuminati rituals or whatever. Who knows, you know? And I mean, that stuff's not that far fetched. I mean, we all saw those email leaks, last year, you know. Half these motherfuckers literally worship the devil, okay? Like, that's basically fact at this point. So let's assume for a minute that this kind of stuff is some sort of weird ass fucking eyes wide shut ritual, right? And that's how so many of these people are showing up with the same exact fucking injury at the same time. Right around the time everybody had the black eye in the one eye, Francis apparently had it. Yeah. Thinking face emoji.jpg. I tell you what, so many of these people, so many of these powerful people are worse than we possibly fucking imagine. I mean, I always thought Hillary Clinton was scum, but even I was kind of surprised to find that, you know, half her fucking campaign literally worshiped the devil. Which we've all just completely forgotten about that too. I can't be the only one that still thinks like, remember when like we found out half of the Democratic Party worships the devil? Like, I can't be the only one that's like, remember that? Because we're all somehow not talking about that. Like, tell you what, man, Alex Jones was never wrong.
He's just wrong about his brain force products.
Yeah. But he turned out to be the guy in the horror movie we didn't listen to until it was too late.
these simulated body cakes.
I mean, it's like, come on, Alex, it can't be that bad. And they worship the devil. Ugh. Let's see.
Oh, spirit cooking, that was the word.
Oh yeah, it was what was it? Like a girl was hang. It was like some stew of like chocolate syrup and period blood or something that they were all eating. What the fuck is wrong with him? Ugh, man.
And those creepy pictures from the pizza place.
Like I just at some point we're just gonna have to just drag. We're just gonna have to vigilante fucking justice these fuckers. Oh well. Well, I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. It's considerably later than I wanted to stream, and I do have church in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whole reason I don't normally stream Saturday nights is because I want to get up for church, and then I have a second shift to work on Sunday. So, you know, but I was kind of wide awake tonight, so I felt like doing a stream. All right, so folks, if you enjoy the stream and the wonderful Nazi Supergirl waifu background Luke gave us there, man, I even love the look on her face. That's delightful right there. That's the kind of look like when you roll off her and she's like, "You're not done yet. There's Gatorade in the fridge. I expect you're ready in 10 minutes. Ready again in 10 minutes." But I'm sorry. Enough about my
weekends.
Enough about my weekends there. If you enjoy the show, there's the Patreon and there's the PayPal down below where you can send me some shekels. That's greatly appreciated. And of course, you can check out the sponsor. That it greatly helps me because that makes the sponsor want to continue being a sponsor. And also, if you haven't already, check out the VidMe channel. There is tons of great videos on there. I'm hoping we have one up by Black Friday. I know Luke's working on it. You know, it's a little longer than normal, but it's kind of a Christmas season episode, so I'm hoping we can get it up by Black Friday. And let's see what else. What the hell else did I want to mention? So professional here. If you haven't already, follow me on the Gab, follow me on the Facebook, the Bechtloff on both places. If you're on Twitter, report the fuck out of anything and everything. You know, let's sync Twitter. And yeah, that's about all I got for tonight, folks. I want to thank you all for listening. Bechtloff out.